Hey honeys, and welcome back to my channel. I'm Steph if you're new, great to meet you. If you're coming back, welcome back. Oh, I'm nervous. I always get weird. Okay, so today, it's been a while since I've kind of sat and spoken to camera, and I just kind of wanted to be really honest. Why is it so scary? January, February, March, April, May. So we're like 5 months into the year, and I just thought I'd do like a little life update. So I think the last time I was actually in this spot, I was sharing quite an emotional story, and here we are again. And I don't think I'll get emotional, but it has been emotional up until this point. Anyway, let me just crack on with it because I'm just gonna ramble around the point for ages if I don't just get straight in. For the last few months, I have not been myself at all. I've just kind of lost a lot of confidence, and I just didn't feel like me. I can't really explain it. I just feel like I would be in situations and I'd be there, but I wouldn't be present and I wouldn't be myself, or I'd be over analysing every situation. And the reason why I'm telling you on here is just because there's certain things that I've not posted about on Instagram or not shown on here, just because I was like, I don't want to be fake. Like, my entire life is online and I share with you guys my journey and stuff, and that is my own personal choice, and I'm so glad that I do, because I personally think through sharing my life so much online, it's made me a more open person. Instead of holding things in, I speak about them online, and then people will say that they can relate or something like that, and it makes me want to talk about it more, because it makes me feel more kind of human and like I'm not alone almost, which I know sounds really deep and blah blah blah. Like I said, for the last few months, I've not really been feeling myself at all. This is so cringe, but I just kind of feel like my sparkle had gone. Not that I'm sparkly anyway, but just usually I feel like I'm quite bouncy and stuff like that. Maybe my bounce had gone. I feel like my bounce had gone. I've kind of been low since February, so I don't know if you've seen my From Paradise to Panic video. If you haven't, go and watch that now. Basically, at the beginning of the year, my best friend had a terrible traumatic time, and I speak about it in more detail in the last video, but her life was really endangered. Like, she had a really severe operation whilst we were overseas in the Maldives, and I was with her, and we were supposed to be on this amazing 5-week trip, and it happened a week and a half into the journey. It was horrible, and I literally lived through the whole thing with her, and then getting back, I found it really hard when I came home, because obviously for the 10 days before that, her boyfriend flew out, who was amazing, and he did most of the work. Like, I can't take credit for what happened after he flew out. Like, he was absolutely incredible. But I'd kind of been with her the whole time and kind of watched the experience, and when I came back, I kind of hit a wall, and I think I'd been running on the fact that I had to look after her for so long that I kind of just fell flat when I came home. I also had this sense of guilt when I came back as well, because I was feeling really low myself and crying all the time and things like that, and she was the one that actually suffered. Like, she actually had to go through the operation and the trauma, and it was like her body that was shutting down, you know. So I felt almost as if I didn't have a right to be upset, if that makes sense. I'm probably gonna get emotional. But basically, for the whole of February and some of March, I cried every single day. I had no motivation. I didn't really want to leave the house. I was zoning myself away from friends. Like, I just didn't want to go out because, I don't know, I didn't want to keep putting on a brave face. And there was days when I literally was, Trev was amazing through the whole thing. He literally cuddled me up and I just sobbed into his arms for absolutely no reason. Every single day that month I cried. Like, there was not a day that went past where there wasn't a moment of like deep sadness. And I was really struggling, because I was just like, why am I feeling like this? And obviously I hadn't pinpointed the moment of where it stemmed from, but I just thought I was in this downward spiral, and I was kind of in denial about it. I was kind of just like, I'm fine, and then I'd cry, and then I'd be like, I'm fine. But I wasn't fine. So then one of the girls that comes to my Stay Sassy events, which is an event series that I host, suggested a course that I should go on, and I booked it in months ago now. It must have been about 3 months before I went to the course. It was for a mental health first aid course. It doesn't make me an expert or anything, but it allows me to see certain mental health issues, the warning signs and things like that, and I could then recognise the symptoms and hopefully guide them down the right path. Now, this course was incredible, and I was with some amazing individuals, all from different walks of life, that I never in a million years would have crossed paths with. And there was a guy on the course who is so high up in the mental health profession. He was doing the course as he's writing a paper on it and how it's going to help others and things like that. There was loads of people from workplaces. They wanted to get it made compulsory in their workplace, because then they could help other colleagues and things like that. Some of the topics that came up, some of the issues that came up, I was like, oh wow. And obviously I could I was very open with them, and when we were speaking about eating disorders, I spoke very openly about my eating disorder and things that you should look out for and things that maybe made me feel worse when I was suffering and things like that. So I felt like I could share all of my personal experiences. Anyway, the reason why I'm telling you this is because this was literally coming out, it was at the beginning of March, so it was when I just was kind of coming out of that crying every day kind of phase. We had to share a story with a partner about a time where we'd been sad and stuff, and this was obviously fresh in my mind, so I shared this experience. Anyway, I spoke to one of the professionals that were doing the course for research, and he basically said that symptoms that I was speaking about sounded similar to PTSD and they're totally normal and things like that. And I was like, okay, cool. And it was almost like a relief, because I was like, why am I feeling like this? Why am I feeling like this? And then when he kind of laid it out in front of me, and then after that, I came home and I spoke to my mum about it, and she was like, oh yeah, definitely. And I was like, okay. Spoke to Trev about it, and he was just amazing. So he would make sure that I got up in the morning, he'd make me a coffee, we'd go to the gym together, just to kind of give me that motivation to kind of just take my life back into control. The thing about my life is I'm not complaining, like I absolutely adore my life and I love what I do and I love my friends and everything, but it is an emotional roller coaster constantly. Like everything is so fast paced to the point where sometimes I just need to scream. After that had happened, I'd obviously hit the massive dip, went to the course, was on the way up, and then I went straight to Africa for 4 days with my best friend. I've grown up since we were like 3.5. We've known each other for years, well, like our whole lives. We went away for 4 days and it was amazing, and we had such a wonderful time. We had animals roaming around our resort, we saw giraffes, zebras, everything. It was just incredible. Then I came back and had a day before I had to work in Thailand, so I had a day to like rearrange my stuff, unpack, repack, and then I was off again, and then I was on another high and I was on the trip. It was amazing, and we did cliff jumping and we did rock climbing and we did flying trapeze and all of these amazing adrenaline filled activities. And then I came home from that and I just crashed again, and I felt like I crashed more than I had done before. I started to become really paranoid. I was over analysing every aspect of my life, so I came back and I was like, oh my god, I've put on weight. But I hadn't. I'd be driving in my car and there'd be a car behind me. I'd be like, oh my god, they're following me. No, they weren't. It's just a straight road. It was childish things. I'd be like waiting to sleep and I'd be like, oh my god, I just heard a noise coming out of my wardrobe. There must be someone in there. And it was almost like I was creating the worst case scenario in my head and starting to believe it. And it was emotionally draining. Like there was constantly something in my mind that was just telling me something terrible was going to happen. And I was really paranoid and anxious all the time. So I cut out coffee because it always made my heart race and it always made me a little bit shaky. And there was like a kind of shift in my mood, but like not a major shift. So like, okay, it's not the coffee. Just last weekend, I didn't even realise, but I think because every day is go, 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 and in my job, because it's freelance, every day is different, so I don't have routine, so I don't have control of my life really. Every day is different, and I forget things and I punish myself for it. And I've been trying to get more and more organised, and I feel like I got to a level where I felt really organised just before we went away in January, and then when I came back I've just thrown all of the kind of tools and tricks I was using out the window because I've just felt a bit lost. Yeah, last weekend I just met up with my friend for lunch and we'd had an amazing afternoon. Something happened, funny enough, I saw something on social media and it just like changed my whole mood. I mean, Trev will back me up on this, my mood is very recognisable. Like I can switch so quickly and can't really hide my emotions, so I'll be really happy and then something will upset me and I'll just go and have like the straightest face ever. So we were on our way home and I just felt like I was gonna cry, and I was like, no, I've not cried for ages, why am I crying? So we got back to his and he was like, are you okay? And you know when someone asks you if you're okay and you're not okay and you're like, yeah, I'm fine, and then floods of tears fall out of your eyes. Well, that kind of happened, and I just went into an emotional place where I just was bawling my eyes out, where I just got into the bed and I just never wanted to leave, and I was just curled up in a ball sobbing. And I was like, this is not right. Like I actually need to take control of my life now. I've been home for 3 months now. I need to kind of get my shit together pretty much. So anyway, I cried a lot. Then the next day it was Trev's last rugby match, so I was fine from that. And then the day after we were just chilling, but again my mood felt really low, and I was just like, this isn't right. So on my way home I messaged a friend and I was just like, I'm not feeling right, I'm really anxious all the time, I'm really paranoid all the time. And it was the paranoia that was getting to me. Like I've always had like a really colourful imagination, but it had always been like a positive sense, and I kind of lived in a bubble in this airy fairy world. So thinking all of these horrible things in my head, I was like, what the hell is wrong with me? So I messaged my friend and I was like, look, I'm feeling really low and I don't know what to do and I don't know who else to turn to. And this is the kind of first time that I'd vocalise this to anyone outside of my family. And she was basically just like, oh my god, have you heard of Counsellor's Directory? And I think in the back of my mind I knew I wanted to go to see a counsellor or a therapist or something, just to kind of speak about it, see if what I was thinking was normal, and if there was a solution, where do I start? I think it got to the point where I was just so tired of being exhausted emotionally that I was just like, I need to sort this out. So this is now a week ago, and I spoke to her and she was like, go on Counsellors Directory. And I was like, what's that? And she said it's basically like ASOS for counsellors. So I went on the website and I was really nervous, and I was like by myself, and I was like, no, I just need to do this for me. I think of what I post on social media is in a way to help other people, and if I can't even help myself, like how can I help other people that watch me or follow me or whatever? I went on the website and you fill out your name, your postcode and that kind of thing, and then it says choose an option of the treatment you'd like and kind of what you're feeling. And there's a few different options, and I was a bit lost because I was between a few of them. So I was like, okay, what I'll do is open a few tabs and choose different emotions that are all very similar but the different ones, and then search them all and see if any counsellors on the forum kind of cross between the 3 or 4 that I was feeling. So I did that, and the top icon for each one that I typed in was this one woman who lives 20 minutes from my house. Everyone had a little picture, and hers was really smiley and warm, and I just got a good feel for her. So I was like, you know what, I'm just going to email her. She's an absolute stranger. I'm just going to kind of pull my heart out into this email and see if she responds. And I told her exactly how I was feeling, and I can't really explain it now, but I had no confidence and I just didn't want to do anything, so I just kind of vocalised all of this in an email. She replied within like half an hour, and I was like, oh my god, amazing. Offered me an appointment the next day, so I was like, look, I'll take it. And I can't even explain the relief, because obviously I'd been living alone with these thoughts and I'd never really spoken to anyone in depth about what I was thinking or feeling, just because I didn't want to worry anyone. I felt like I'd taken off a really heavy rucksack, and I was just like, whew. But I think it was because I know I'd reached out for help and I'd got an appointment booked in. I had no idea if it was going to help or not, but I just felt like I was taking control of my life again and kind of making the positive steps towards getting better. The morning came of when I was going to see her and I was getting a little bit nervous. I turned up, it was just like for a one-off consultation. Drove to her house. I told my mum and boyfriend that I was going, and then knocked on her door, and she was this really smiley woman, and she was like, come on in, and she had this really warm and cozy room that she took me into, and I just knew I was gonna cry. Before I even walked in, I was like, at some point in this 50-minute session I'm gonna cry, and it was just inevitable because I'm a crier. We sat down and she was just like, look, there's 2 ways we can do this. You can either tell me why you're here, or I can ask you some questions. And I was like, can you ask me some questions? Because I didn't know where to start. I don't think I really knew why I was there. I knew I was feeling down and low and vulnerable, but I didn't know like the root of it. She asked me some questions. She asked me about my home life, my family life, if I had a boyfriend, my job and things like that. And she was like, okay, so that looks really positive. And when I was saying it and she was writing it down, I was like, wow, I do have such a good life, but I'm really, really not happy, and I want to change that so that I can appreciate everything that's good in my life. And she was like, okay, so that is pretty solid, like why are you here? So then I kind of told her the story of what happened in January and things like that, and basically told her my whole life history in this 50 minutes. And obviously in one session you're never going to get a cure or an answer, and that's kind of why I wanted to make this video, because one, I want to encourage people that are feeling so low to the point where you can't actually function, you can't do your job, you can't be a good friend, you can't be a good partner, you can't be a good child to your parents or whatever. Like, I was being rude to my parents, I wasn't being nice to Trev, like I was being bratty and I was being selfish because I knew I felt bad. I just didn't want to do anything, so I was snapping at everyone. I need to fix myself, not only for me but for the people around me. Like, they're all I have, I don't want to push them away. So that's kind of why I wanted to come on here and be like, if you are struggling to the point where you feel like you do want to reach out for help, go on Counsellors Directory. I wanted something instant, so I was like, I'm going to do this and I'm going to invest in myself. The feeling of reaching out to someone was unbelievable. And so I went to the session, and like I said, it was just a one-off me pouring my heart out. And the only way I can explain it is, me booking the session was like me going to Sainsbury's. Me turning up to this session was like me buying something from Sainsbury's. Me like speaking about myself was like me coming home with hummus and opening the lid. Like, I've opened the hummus, but I've not yet kind of dunked in pita or a carrot. Does that make sense? By that, I just mean I've opened up to this woman, and she kind of gave me a few answers as I was telling her my story. She was just telling me like common themes that were happening throughout my life and why that might have led to how I'm feeling now and things like that. And I'd only kind of just scratched the surface of what was wrong, and then we've agreed that I'm going to come back for another session because I felt really comfortable speaking to her. Just, she had a really warm, friendly face. I feel really safe with her. You can't really feel safe with someone after meeting them once, but I just did. I don't know if it's I just needed someone, or if just because she is really warm and gentle and stuff. We just spoke about little things that I can do to kind of make me feel better. she was saying how I used to write lists all the time of things to do, and so she said to go back to doing lists and things like that. She said that I need to kind of set boundaries in my life. So I'm a people pleaser, I always have been, and I probably always will be, and I never want to let anyone down or make anyone upset or make anyone think that I'm not a good friend, because that's something I take pride in. Like, I put people first, you know. And she said I just need to create some boundaries where I do occasionally say no to people and put my other things first. So she's like, I want you to go through your calendar, to go through and just be like, okay, what things aren't compulsory can you potentially say no to? Like, your friends will understand. Right now you really need time for yourself. And I was like, yeah, you're so right. That's what I've done yesterday and today. I cancelled things and I've just worked from home, and I've been just somewhere where I feel safe, and I've just written myself a checklist, and I've just gone through and every day done something productive. So I write a checklist of maybe 10 things, and I prioritise them, 1, 2 or 3, 1 being the most important and 3 being the kind of least important that I could do tomorrow. At the end of the day, when I can see all the ticks, I feel really productive. So I've done that now for the last 2 days, and I'm already feeling like I'm gaining control back into my life and like setting the boundaries and things like that. I'm not gonna lie, I'm still quite insecure in myself, in my abilities and things like that. Like, I'm questioning everything I'm doing. Wow, I'm gonna cry. Just because I think, I don't even know why I'm crying. I'm being so dramatic, like it's not that deep, but I just don't feel like myself at all. But I came on here to basically tell you that I'm taking control of my life, and I've asked for help from a professional who is going to help me guide through all of this. For example, our next session, she said we're going to analyse my insecurities, and we're going to talk about behavioural changes and things that we can do to make me feel better about myself and to hopefully build my confidence. I feel like it's coming back slowly, but I do feel like I have lost a big chunk of confidence. I've not come on here to be like, oh my god, I'm a mess, even though that's how it's come out. I just wanted to, I don't know, hopefully motivate or inspire someone that is watching this, that is struggling, to be like, do you know what, I'm going to tell a friend, or I'm going to just write down how I'm feeling, or I'm going to, actually I'm not feeling right in myself and I haven't been for a while. What can I do to change that? Because I think we're constantly investing so much time into work, into relationships, into TV series, that we're not investing enough into ourselves, into our own well-being, into our own mental health. And I just think it should be a priority, and I think I've kind of put it on the back burner for too long. It's probably a bit premature me doing this video now, but I wanted to speak about things whilst they're fresh in my mind and whilst I'm kind of going through the process. I don't want anyone to watch this video and be like, oh my god, I'm gonna ask for help, I'm gonna see a therapist, turn up for 1 session and be like, they're gonna cure me in a session. Realistically, I don't think that will happen. If it's the first time you've opened up to someone about your issues, then maybe you will feel a lot better because it's like a relief and a release. But if there is something that you need to work on, they're not going to be able to do that in 50 minutes. They're not going to be able to learn your whole life and to give you answers in an hour session. It's all a stepping stone, building a pathway like in your life. But you know what I mean? Like, everything is, you're laying down the bricks as you walk, and you're creating the path, and you're filling that with positivity. And don't be afraid to ask for help. Like, I was so in denial and nervous about it, but now the fact that I know that I'm seeing this woman in a week or so to speak about just myself. Other than when I vlog, I don't really speak about myself. If someone asks me a question, I'll be like, yeah, but like, I love asking other people questions and stuff like that. Having that time set aside for you to just focus on you is so important. Even if you just do it at home and you just journal for half an hour and just focus on yourself for that time rather than everything else. I hope this video was informative. I kind of just used it to vent really and speak about how I'm feeling. It feels weird speaking to a camera about such personal things, but I do hope that helps someone. I'm gonna cry again. Why am I such an emotional wreck? Yeah, I just wanted to say, if anyone is watching this and can relate to any of what I've said, or is feeling vulnerable or scared or nervous, everything that is on this forum, I'll link it below. I believe it's all confidential and stuff, so even if it's just you sending an email, you don't actually have to meet the person, but getting it out there and putting it out there to someone could be the first step in making you feel better. I hope you could learn or take something from this video. I just feel like I share my whole life, the good, the bad and the ugly, so I might as well, if I'm going to show it, be super deep and honest about it. Anyway, I'm going to stop rambling now because it's been a long time. But thank you so much for watching. I hope to see you again soon. Comment below if you would like to, if you have anything to say, or you can DM me on Instagram at HealthyChefSteph, where it's like a little bit more private. I'm not qualified in mental health or anything like that, but I don't know, sometimes it's nice to just have someone to talk to, you know? I will see you guys soon. Bye.